Okay, and we're back. And here I am with little Ruby here. And let's see, it's gonna be just our second session together. Oh, little thing. So, we're gonna get right into it. Gonna be working on her engagement, working on her following. And she does know how to sit, she does know how to lay down. She has a slight understanding. She knows how to sit, but she has a slight understanding of taking direction with it. But what we're going to be doing is incorporating the leash and working on some of her leash pressure there so she can understand how to follow the leash. And ultimately, our goal is to develop some more patience and self-control with her. She's pretty, she's just a happy-go-lucky girl. She's very, very excited. She's very happy, but she's kind of all over the place, bouncing all over the place, jumping on people, jumping on dogs. Her nose is all over the ground, so that's one of the things that her owners want to work on. So really, that's just teaching her, more manners on the leash, right? The pulling, lunging, jumping, barking, learning to stay by your side. So we're going to work on that. Yesterday, I did work on some of her following and turning on the leash, but I want to get into picking things up off of the ground. So even here, as I've been talking a couple of times now, she's already tried to smell the ground. So when we're trying to teach them not to be picking things up off of the ground or to not always have their nose on the ground, then even when we're just sitting here talking, we need to make sure that we're letting her know not to do that, right? So what really, if you really just keep a fixed length leash here, okay, it's not tight, but I've cut the leash in half. Essentially, really, any pulling away is gonna make the leash tight right now, which essentially I'm gonna be sending her a signal and letting her know, hey, you're making the leash tight, let's not do that, right? So just meaning by simply cutting the leash almost in half here and not giving her the whole thing, now I can start to hold her accountable for pulling towards smelling the ground, right? So if like that, like this, so you see, so all I did is just give a little tug there. And again, we worked on her leash pressure a little bit yesterday, but I can let her know, hey, you're pulling to smell the ground, which is pulling on the leash, which is pulling on me, right? So no pulling. Okay, so if we can just teach our dog no pulling in general, then we can start to hold them accountable for even just simply pulling to smell the ground, right? Because pulling is pulling. Doesn't matter if it's pulling to smell the ground, pulling towards a dog, pulling towards a person, pulling towards a squirrel. Pulling is pulling. So we need to be very clear with that with our dogs, right? Very black and white with it, okay? So, Mama, hi Mama. So let's go ahead and actually, okay, even here, guys, even here, just like simple moving. She's gonna be real impulsive and start to pull. I gave a little flick of the leash there to control that. So that's what we're looking to do, is start controlling some of that impulsiveness while shaping her focus and, getting her to pay attention to us, right? Okay. So let's go ahead and just start out here. I only have a couple of her treats here because they're still a little too big. They were pre-cut, but they're still a little too big, so I'm having to tear them up. But let's go ahead and start out with our kind of safety circle exercise that we call this, right? Where we're gonna teach her not to be pulling towards the ground. So I have the two treats. I'm gonna go ahead and throw one, and she's of course gonna try to pick it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let her know with the leash there, which is the same thing I already did, okay? Not to pick the treat up. So she backed up, all right? So I still have more in my hand. So we're gonna go ahead and put her on the ground. Okay, that was great, good. That's exactly what we want. So she backed herself away. That's great. So I'm gonna do it again. We're gonna throw one. Good. And she backed herself away. And reward. That's exactly what we're wanting, right? That's perfect. Okay, so we can even just be down here with her. We don't have to necessarily be standing up, so I can throw it there. Yes, good girl. That's what we're looking for. Good. So again, always having two treats in the hand. Throw one, keep one. Yes. So I'm rewarding her for not going after the food, right? So I had to give her that very first okay signal to let her know not to go. And then after that, she picked it up. Again, she's very, very smart. I'm expecting to make progress fairly quickly with her. We never skip steps, even though a dog is, hey, really smart. We don't skip the steps because you still have to teach correctly, okay? So, yes, good girl. Good girl. Guys, so this is really, again, let's not look at just teaching our dog not to pick up things off of the ground here, but this is working on impulse control. That's what we're trying to develop. We always have to, again, look at what type of skill are you trying to develop in the dog to to get to your goal. The goal is to teach her not to pick things up off of the ground, but that requires to teach the dog impulse control, patience, and self-control, and limitations, right? Those are the parts that we miss with our dogs, right? We're just like, oh, I really want to work on not picking things up off of the ground. Well, you have to work on those foundational skills. You're actually asking the dog to control themselves. So are you teaching self-control and patience? Most likely not. Most likely not, okay? Yes, good girl. Good girl. So again, very, very black and white here, okay? The one on the ground is off limits, but if she leaves that one, she'll get rewarded from me, okay? So throw and give. That's good. That's a good girl. Okay, so again, one thing that we're not doing is we're not using the food to entice her, okay? So we're not throwing and then using the food here to keep her attention. We're actually throwing, putting this hand behind our back, and then rewarding, okay? So that's good, there we go. So throw, yes, and reward, good girl. So she's done really well with not advancing towards the food, okay? So control this too, okay? This is the same thing, guys. Guys, her pulling out to go after the food is the same thing as her lunging and jumping at me and getting overly excited, okay? So again, if we need to develop these understandings and habits across the board, okay? So this is why this is consistency, and this is why a lot of people, look, so here, I'm gonna let her know not to do that, right? We've been working on it, okay? But this is why a lot of us will have problems, because we wanna focus on one spot or one area and like nothing else, and not really understanding that it's the same behavior, right? Her pulling out to get to the food is the same, good girl, yay, as her getting overly excited and jumping on me and pulling, essentially. She's pulling towards me, okay? So what we're working on is impulse control. So if I can't say, hey, please control yourself around food, but go ahead and just lose all patience and self-control and jump on me, okay? So you have to, we're trying to develop behaviors across the board and not, yes, just picking and choosing the ones that we want, okay, which can be done, but then it means that it's not clear to the dog, okay? If you're trying to form habits, we're gonna be better off, and we're actually gonna develop what we're looking for if you develop the habits across the board, okay? Yes, good girl. So throw, yes, good girl. Okay, so she's got this, not necessarily down, but she has a good understanding of it based on what she's giving us, right? She's really not advancing to the treat. So we're gonna go ahead and expand on this, and I'm gonna work it from my hand now, okay? So let me get a little closer over here. Come on, so we're gonna work it from my hand now. Yes, so now it's just, instead of throwing them on the ground, the treats are in my hand. So I don't want her to impulsively snatch them out of my hand, okay? Good girl. So it's the same thing. I need her to control herself, yes, and not take things from me. So again, I'm always very clear with keeping this hand here with me, So this isn't, again, I feel like this is very fair here, okay? So meaning I have to teach her that if it's in my hand, it's not for her, but I'm not, so there, little advancement, use the leash, little tug there, and she pulled herself away. Again, also she's on a Premier collar, she's on a martingale, okay? Petite. So we're just trying to teach the understanding that if the food is in our hands, it's not for them, right? Don't jump up and take things out of our hands. Good girl. There's a huge difference on us giving them the food, okay? Giving them, oh, so I dropped that one. So it's off limits, right? Dropped that one on accident, but it's off limits. But there's a huge difference on food being in my hand, okay? And me giving it to her. So we want to teach our dogs we give them things. They don't take it from us. Okay, so again, what I'm not doing is this. I'm not doing this and then telling her not to take it. That's not fair. I'm keeping the food on my side and then rewarding for her controlling herself. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Okay, so these are our impulse control exercises with food. This is the teaching process. Good. We have to teach these things here so that we can then uphold them. Good girl. Yay. Yay, good. Good girl. So we're gonna keep working on those every single session, okay? But for now, go ahead, come on. Let's go ahead and start to work on some following here. Yes, good girl. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep her on my left side. So she's gonna get overly excited, start to get real wiggly, start to jump around. So we're gonna be doing some, good girl, come on, controlling through that. Okay, you can see, especially even when I just give her a little bit of feedback, when I say, good girl, she starts getting so crazy and almost going after my feet. Okay, so we're gonna control that. We're teaching her, good girl, the difference between work mode and play mode, right? Work mode and play mode. Good, good girl, come on. Good, come on. Good girl, so I'm gonna bring her to a stop. Sit, good girl. So when I bring her to a stop, I'm gonna go ahead and guide her up with the leash at the same time I'm telling her to sit. Okay, so it's sit, guiding her with the leash. Once she sits, we'll go ahead and release that slight pressure and we'll reward her with the food. Okay, come on, so it looks like this. So sit, leash, she sits, release the leash, give food. Okay, so we're starting to layer in the leash pressure to her sit. So we wanna teach her that when we pull up, that means sit, right? Okay, come on. So now we can really work on her pulling. Okay, we have to build value. Sit. So here we go. Look, use the food. Good. Use the food to get her attention. Okay, so sometimes they're gonna get distracted. Use the food to get their attention at the same time you're guiding up with the leash. Yay, come on. Good. So when we can build that value to the leash, now we can use it to communicate to her, meaning we can tell her, sit, not to pick things up off of the ground, or to follow, or to not jump on people, or we can now just use our leash to communicate. Okay, come on. And that's the entire point, guys. Again, this leash is us. This leash is an extension of us. We are using the leash to communicate to our dogs, so we need to build the language. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, come on. Okay, so we're gonna get a couple turns here. So we're looking for her to follow us here, right? Good, so we got a turn. That's a really good girl. She's engaging. We'll come to a stop. Sit, leash, and reward. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Okay, come on. So we're gonna take off. Okay, so if they hit the end of the leash there, well, just give them a little bit of guidance with that leash to bring them around with you, to get them to follow you. Come on. Good girl. Again, this is teaching them to follow and to pay attention. Okay, so sit. Yes, good girl. Okay, so it's going to be important that we are just continuing to walk on our straight line here, teaching them to follow us. Again, guys, these are the reps that have to be put in. Sit. Before actually walking your dog. This should be developed before even stepping foot out on the street. Okay, if you don't have these skills developed and you haven't taught your dog how to walk on a leash, you shouldn't be walking your dog. You shouldn't walk your dog. Like, why would you again, thrust your dog into, situations, life, or requiring things from them that you haven't even taught them to do, right? Okay, so too often it's, wow, they're not great on a leash. Well, yes, because you haven't taught them how to be on a leash, right? And that's done at home, in the yard, in your apartment, in your building, right? It's done there before you're actually taking them out and testing them in the real world. Sit. Good. So we're doing it here where it's controlled. Okay, come on. Developing the understanding, teaching the skills, and then we will go out and implement them. Good girl, yay. Sit. Yes, good. Again, training is developing the necessary skills in order to do a specific job. So if in the real world we want to take her out and walk her, walking in the real world is the job. So how much training to develop the necessary skills needed to actually go walk her in the real world have we done, right? And that's what we're doing here, okay? Good. Okay, come on. Good. Good. Come to a stop, sit, guide with leash. Good. Once she sits, release leash, release food. Yay! Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Come on. So again, I'm using just a little bit of treats here, meaning I'm breaking them up just to give her tiny pieces. Sit. Yes, good girl. Okay, come on. Sit. Okay, so look. There's slight pressure. Sit. Good. Use your food. Okay. And lure her up. Good girl. Yay. Sit. Good. So again, notice that every time I come to a stop and I have her sit, I line her up with me. So this has to do with, again, our leash management. Guys, we're really using the leash as our tool here. So again, a lot of the time your dogs are way over here. Every time you stop, they pull out, they're way over there, they wrap around you, all just because you give them too much leash. So before you come to that stop, shorten your leash up so they can't move away too far, and we can start to condition them to stop by our side, right? That's what we're doing. We're conditioning this by just doing it every time, pretty much the same. Okay, so eventually we're not gonna have to stop her ourselves with the leash. She will end up stopping herself because we've conditioned it, right? So let's get a couple more reps in. Okay, come on. So here, notice again, I'm leading her, right? I'm leading. So shorten up, sit, good girl. Okay, come on. So I tell her, okay, come on, and I lead, right? Come on, it's her job to follow. I'm trying to teach her to follow me, not me follow her, so I'm leading her. Okay, so look, she's pulling out. Come on, I make a turn, and I go this way. Good girl, good. So let's come to a stop here. Leash up, sit. So her focus is there. Okay, look, she's not looking at me anymore. Okay, so then we're gonna evaluate here because she's not paying attention and there's still slight tension on the leash, but she's not sitting. So she doesn't understand the leash pressure yet, right? She doesn't understand, or else she would sit right now. So we have to keep putting in reps. You see this? So sit, good, right? So that was a great example of seeing if she understands the leash pressure. And she doesn't, because she was willing to just kind of sit there and really just pull herself, pull a lot, and not sit down. Okay, so at some point, after maybe 30 reps of this, we're eventually just gonna not give her the food lure and just kind of give her a little bit of pressure and see if she sits. And that's gonna be the way we test to see if she understands, hey, leash up means sit, right? So we just don't have it yet. Okay, come on. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Sit. Good girl. Hey, up. So, unfortunately, guys, when we're working on this, if they drop the food and it hits the ground, I'm not gonna let them pick it up because we already taught them no pulling out and picking up things off of the ground. Well, we started to teach, so we need to start holding accountable for that, right? So it's a little unfortunate. Come on. That happens, that they can't get it, but I think we need to be consistent there and let them know, hey, even though I went to give it to you and you just maybe fumbled it and dropped it, now that one's off limits, unfortunately. Okay, come on. So that we can be very consistent, right, with the understanding. Because then it can't be like, oh, well, sometimes I can pick it up, sit off of the ground, and sometimes I can't. They're always gonna try if you're inconsistent like that. Okay, come on. Yay, come on. Good. Sit. Yes, good girl. So just to end, we're gonna end this right here, and we're gonna get some more reps in a little bit. But just to see here, down, you see, she knows how to lay down. So we're gonna be doing the same thing with the down. We're gonna start adding the leash in to her down. Good girl. So we can start, okay, so we can give ourselves a tool. Nope. So look, she started to jump at my hand there. Did a couple snaps to mouth my hand, so I just gave her a little nope, and jabbed the leash. Okay, so I controlled that. So real quick, let's try that one more time. Yay, okay. Nope. Yay, okay. Nope. Yay, okay. Good, so that's better. Okay, so again, what I'm trying to teach her is, okay, that I want to engage with her, but I don't want her to bite my hand. So, okay, I'm engaging, but I'm controlling what we don't want. Okay, so every time, look, she's trying to mouth, I'm gonna flick the leash and I'm gonna control that. But I'm gonna go back to engaging. So this is the part of actually teaching, guys. You have to do this with your puppies. You need to do this with your dogs. We have to teach them how to engage with us. We have to teach them that hands are off limits, right? We're not like dogs, right? We're not supposed to be bit. Our skin, our bodies are not built like dogs. Their body's built to be bit. So we have to teach them that that's not how they engage with us, right? Okay. So, and a lot of that, again, is just impulse control. You can see when I bring that energy, she's like, yeah, 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 yeah. right? So I have to also say, hey, just because I said okay and I'm giving this energy doesn't mean we go bonkers and lose self-control, patience, start biting, mouthing, rolling everywhere. In reality, that's normal behavior. It's normal for her to do that. I'm just teaching her what we want, what we don't want, okay? Yay, good girl, good girl. So go short on the leash, and we can even control some of the jumping there. Let her know every time she jumps, it gets controlled. Okay. So it's not that the play stops, guys. So that, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're way better off. Okay, come on. Doing it like this so that the play actually continues and we're actually teaching the dog versus shh, shh, shh. And it's in the moment, it's very quick, and then we advance versus something maybe like this. Let's see. Something like, let's wait for her to do something. Okay. Let's say she jumps and then I just end the play. Right? That's always a very common way to work on bad behaviors, right? It's just, oh, ignore. Okay, so now what? So I ignored her and the play stopped once she jumped on me. So I'm really hoping that, okay, exactly. Look, the moment I went to do it again, she just jumped again. So we're really just expecting the dog to say, oh my gosh, you stopped playing with me because I jumped on you. Maybe I won't jump on you so you'll continue to play with me. I just think it's going to take forever to teach that. If you're just trying to use, removing yourself as the consequence. Okay, your bad behavior got me to remove myself, so now we don't get to interact. The dog's like, all right, cool, look, on to the next thing. Right? Their brains are so, okay, not you? Okay, well, let me look at this bird over here. Versus, I'm coming in. I'm actually going to continue to engage. Yes. Play with my dog, pet them, and just set some rules to the play, right? Set some rules. So like this, look, she's coming at my hand. I give a flick of the leash. I stop her, and then I go back into the play. I want to engage. I'm just setting some ground rules to the play, to the engagement. Okay, yay, okay. So no jumping, right? Yay, okay. And it's up to her. Okay, so mouthing, you can see her mouth is open here and she's trying to come at my hand. So I'm using the leash to control that, right? So the key is I'm not pulling my hand away also. So when she mouths, I'm not like, no. No, what I'm doing is I'm sending a signal when she mouths not to do that, leaving my hand here and requiring her to pull herself away from my hand. Okay. I need her to say like, oh, okay, I won't mouth your hand. Guys, this is like a dog snapping at the other dog, right? I'm snapping at her, letting her know, not that, but all is okay. We can go back to playing. Just adjust yourself, right? I'm trying to teach her how to adjust herself. Good girl. Yay, good girl. So mouthing, there's the leash. Okay, back to it here. Yay, good girl. Yay. Yay! Mouthing, adjust. Yay! Good girl. So, a little mouth there. There was the leash. Yes, good girl. Good. So we want to teach her like how to lick, right? Not how to mouth, not how to bite, not how to jump at us, not how to lunge at our hands, right? We're trying to teach her how to control herself, essentially, okay? So look, you got craziness here again, okay? Craziness, okay. Shh, 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 shh. Nope, come on, come on. Shh, 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 shh. No. Shh. Okay. Shh. 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 So you can add in, I am giving her a shh, right? Which I'm gonna start to build value to my shh. Okay, so shh means don't do that essentially, right? So as she's doing what I don't want her to do, I give her my shh and then use the leash. So now we're building and pairing your shh to the leash. Okay, so now it'll have value and then she can start to respect that. So now when we can pinpoint and we can say shh and she says, oh yeah, you're right. I shouldn't do that, right? We're pairing it as a negative there. Good girl. Okay. Good. So yeah, she plays with me just like she plays with dogs. Jumps all over, bites all over, okay? So again, we're trying to teach her we're not a dog, right? We interact and engage with humans in a different manner, okay? And it can, guys, it can be taught. It can be taught. So don't be just accepting that your dog behaves that way, okay? And so don't accept it, which then means that it's just being conditioned and reinforced, okay? So like us not addressing it is gonna continue to condition it, right? The lack of no means yes. So if I'm not telling her no when she's mouthing me and jumping at me and trying to bite my hand, then I'm telling her it's okay to do, okay? So it's just part of our body handling and our engagement. So we can do the same thing even when it comes here to the paw. Look at this. This is a little different here. Okay, it's the same thing. Just try to touch her paw, and now she's trying to mouth me. Okay, so we're gonna have to work through this also. We're gonna end this one here, and then we'll end up picking up on this for our next one. Okay. Yes. Okay.